Hello, my name is Ezra.
And I am Josh.
And today we're having a conversation with Westford veteran Jim Van Bever. A conversation with a Westford veteran is a project of the Westford Museum and Historical Society to conduct interviews of Westford's Korean and Vietnam veterans. This project is sponsored by the Massachusetts State Historical Records Advisory Board and the Veterans Heritage Grant Project. Before we get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Ezra Berson, and I am a senior at Westford Academy, class of 2023, and a Capstone intern at the Westford Museum. I'm looking forward to majoring in history this fall at Framingham State University.
And I am Joshua Strong, also a senior at Westford Academy, class of 2023, and a Capstone intern at the Westford Museum. I am looking forward to majoring in atmospheric science and meteorology at UMass Lowell. So the Westford Academy Senior Capstone experience provides seniors with the opportunity to apply what they've learned in school to the real world. Students pursue an internship in a local business or community service for the fourth quarter of the senior year.
Today we are speaking with Jim Van Bever. Mr. Van Bever grew up on River Street in Graniteville, Westford, Massachusetts. He graduated from Westford Academy in the class of 1967. He served in the United States Army 101st Airborne Division, and today he is a volunteer and research assistant at the Westford Museum.
Okay, could you tell us about when you went into the military?
Oh, yeah, I was drafted. I went in April of 1969. I was drafted, yeah. And when you were drafted, you had to, the draft board was in Groton, Mass, at the Groton Town Hall on Route 119. I don't know if it's still there or not, but. So when you got drafted, you had to report to the Groton Town Hall. And from there, they put you on a bus and you went to the Boston Army base, and that's where you got sworn in. And then you were in the military then. So, but then we took a plane from Logan to South Carolina. Got to, I think it was Fort Jackson, yeah, Fort South Carolina. And there was a thing called Zero Week, which was like a lot of tests, physicals, and you issue clothes, the uniforms, all kind of things like that. So we were there for a week. It called 0 week because it didn't count. It didn't count towards your basic training time. It counted towards the Army time. But anyway, so there a week, and then from there we took a bus from Fort Jackson to Fort Gordon, Georgia, Augusta, Georgia, and started basic training there in Augusta, Georgia.
Yeah, and do you have any memories of basic training, like the good, the bad?
It was all right. It was, it was different because, I was living at home, and like I said, I had a clerk's job at Wraith, and I really wasn't doing anything physical. And all of a sudden, you're thrown in all these kids, and up at 5 o'clock in the morning, calisthenics and running all day, and it was hard. Every day was really compressed. Training, military code of conduct, all kinds of stuff like that.
So did they ever push you to a certain limit?
Well,
or did they know what the
they
limits
worked
are?
you hard.
Yeah.
We're all kids. You're 19, 20. I mean,
yeah.
You can do that kind of thing, And so, no, I mean, it just worked. You worked you hard, yeah. Got you in shape and got you ready for the service, military, It was hot, too, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And where did you go after basic training?
Well, I had to leave, and then I went back to Georgia, back to Fort Gordon for a thing called advanced infantry training, which was another 9 weeks. A lot of weapons training, things like that. It wasn't. It was different than basic. They treated you. You got treated better. Like a real soldier. But there was long days. A lot of night training and stuff like that, and. It was really hot, like July and August, So, yeah, it was hot down there.
And it wasn't air conditioned either.
Oh, no.
No?
I don't think they knew the name of it. Nothing was air conditioned, no. I was there for 9 weeks, yeah. Yeah.
And after your training, where did you go?
Well, after, I remember the last day we had training, in the company area, they always had a bulletin board. And so we came back from training one day, and our orders had come in, where we're all going to go. I think there was 135 guys in my company, something like that. So the sergeant said, well, the orders are in, and it's probably easy to tell you who's not going to Vietnam. So it's like 5 or 10 who weren't going. The rest of us were all going. We kind of figured that, though, So, we all I got a 3-week leave, and then we had to be back, But I just wanted to go. I didn't want to go home again, and it gets hard, I just wanted to get going, But they got a 3-week leave, and so I went home and this was like September, 69, something like that.
That's interesting. So, do you have any memories of when you were going to Vietnam?
Oh yeah, I had to be at Fort Dix, back in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And we were there for a week or so. And all these rumors we weren't going to go, but we knew we were going. So finally came they said, "Well, you guys are going." So they had a thing called DEROS Day. It's an acronym for something like Departure and Route Overseas Service, something like that. And so the day you left the States, I left October 1st. So that was my DEROS Day. So you left October 1st, you came home on October 1st. So, October 1st, I took a plane from McGuire Air Force Base, commercial airplane.
Oh, a commercial?
Yeah, it was commercial. McGuire Air Force Base to Alaska. And then from Alaska to Japan.
Oh.
Yeah. And then from Japan to Vietnam. Yeah. So.
And they took a commercial airliner.
Well, they did that. The Army did that for a reason, because they felt that it confused the enemy and about troops coming and going.
Ah,
you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
That's what they did that for. So it was fairly comfortable, commercial flight.
Yeah.
So we landed in I think it was around Saigon. Around down that way. Tungsten. I think it's Tungsten or something like that. Yeah.
What was your initial reaction upon arriving in Vietnam?
Yeah, it was kind of funny because when we were going into the landing, the stewardesses started taking their shoes off, and so what are you doing that? So, well, it's not they get more, they have to run, So, but no, we get on the ground, and we were all kind of nervous and stuff, but the first guy I saw was this soldier. He must have been off duty or something because he had munis shots on, he was drinking a Coke. So it wasn't that. So I kind of relaxed you a little bit, And then I think so. When you get down there, you have like a week of orientation or something, get used to the climate and stuff like that, And I had got orders to go to the 101st Airborne, and you never jumped out of a plane or anything, So we asked the guy, so we never jumped. He said, we weren't in the Airborne. And he said, well, you are now. Get in the truck. So we took a plane up from down Saigon up to Hue City, way up north there.
Yeah, so what kind of things did you do while you were there?
Well, we were out in the jungle for 9 months, we got, my base camp was called Camp Eagle. That's 101st was, the headquarters station. We were there a couple of days and it got, jungle uniform, all kind of things. So finally we're going to go out to our company out in the jungle, and, they put us on a helicopter. Well, I never been on a helicopter before. So we just going, and they had the side doors are open, this bank and everything. So got out to my company, and landed, and this guy comes out and shakes my hand. He said, Jim, I'm Lieutenant McMillan. Real relaxed, He was our lieutenant, and real relaxed, like.
So that kind of gave you a vibe that it was going to be.
Yeah,
kind
they
of
were
chill.
good guys. Yeah, the lieutenant was really good. I think he'd gone to West Point, maybe the Citadel. So he was a good officer. Yeah, so and you get to know the guys. So.
And then, what kind of memories did you have while you were in North Vietnam?
Well, the worst part was the weather, the elements. It really was. Especially during the monsoon. People, well, where I was anyway, Hue City is pretty far up north if you look at a map. And actually where I was kind of cold. It wasn't that hot, But the monsoon was, people got the wrong, for us anyway, the monsoon was like 3 or 4 months of drizzle. It rained hard some days, mostly it's like a drizzle. And it's like 50, 60 degrees, and you're out and you're sleeping on the ground, and you're wet all the time, it's cold, stuff like that. So that's the elements were the worst part, it really was,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really have hot food or anything like that.
Oh, yeah. And did you do anything when you were off duty?
We really didn't have off duties. You know?
Oh, yeah.
You'd be out probably in the field maybe 30, 35 days, you know, and they bring you back in for, they call it the stand down, you know, maybe 2 or 3 days. You might get cleaned up, you know, gets dried out, you know, maybe they might have a show or something.
Did you go anywhere else when you were serving?
Well, I had an R&R. I got there on October 1st, so May I had an R&R. I went to Japan. I went to the World's Fair in Osaka, which was really
That's cool.
It really was nice, yeah. I enjoyed that, yeah. So I was there for a week. You know. I got back, you know, I kind of lucked out, too, because I was here like 9 months, and the 101st had this thing where they were assigned to the headquarters in Da Nang, where the generals were and stuff, so they needed honor guards anyway. So I got picked for one of those, which was good. I got this, so it was like only 2 of us out of my company. So I went to Da Nang, which was really nice. You know, it's like we had barracks and, you know, food and, you know, hot food and, you know, it was really nice there for 2 months. So I really lucked out. I really just pulled guard duty all day, which wasn't bad, you know. I got back to my company in September. I was supposed to go home October 1st.
Oh, yeah.
So one of my best friends had become company clerk, and if anybody in the Army knows, company clerk kind of run the show.
Yeah.
So he said, "You want another R&R?" I said, "Well, I had one already." So, "Well, I get your standby one. You got to go." So I went to Australia, Sydney.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I said, "Okay, I'll go there." So I got there for a couple of days, and thought it was time to go back to the Vietnam. You know.
Yeah.
So I got to Darwin, and it was really burning up. So I went to the terminal, had 4 Coca-Colas, you know. But so I finally got back to Da Nang, Vietnam. I went to the aid station. So they told me I had the flu. So I said, okay. And they said, tomorrow you got to go back to your company up north. So I said, okay. So the next day I was on a helicopter pad. I was waiting to go back, and I just really got sick. I told the office, I said, "Sir, I can't get on the plane. I just feel awful, you know." So finally they took me to see a doctor, and I had malaria, you know.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So next thing I was on a hospital ship, and then a couple of weeks there, and all these hospitals. It was back to Vietnam, and then I went to Japan, Okinawa, and all these things, you know. So.
And did you keep having like relapses of malaria?
I never had a relapse. The doctor told me I would never have one.
That's good.
Yeah, the strain I had, you know. But the thing was that I was supposed to be home October 1st, and like, you know, all these hospitals, and like, you know, it's like October 1st is come and gone. Finally, we was in Okinawa. We left for, so they said, okay, you're going to go back to the States now. So we went to back to Australia, Alaska, and our destination was Angels Air Force Base in Washington, D.C. there. And we were supposed to go to Bethesda Naval Base, and that was my destination. So I was there for a couple of days, and then finally I got to go to Fort Devens, which was close to home, you know.
Yeah.
And so I had to leave, and so finally at Devens, this is like late November. I had orders to go to Fort Carson, Colorado after I got out of the service. After I got out of Vietnam, I was at Devens, and I had it was late November, and I had like 30 days leave coming, you know. So they said, well, we don't want to send you to Colorado just for a couple of months. So we're gonna, if you want to get out, you can get out. So I said, okay, I'll get out. And it was kind of funny. Today, which is really a good thing, when guys get out, or people get out of the service, they decompress them, you know, and all these. For us, it was just, I got paid. They take my ID. Once you take your ID, you can't do anything. So I did that, and they said, okay, keep your uniform on, but you got to leave the base. And you can't come back.
Oh.
Yeah. So my uncle picked me up he worked at the fort and took me home. That was the end of it.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
And then did you just go back to normal life?
Well, yeah, I did. I got home, and it was a Monday, I think it was. I wanted to relax a little bit, you know. So my father said, well, you should go back. I had a job, you know, and the rule was if you had a job and you got drafted, they had to give your job back. He said, you should go back to work right away. So I went back to work the following Monday.
So you just had a week break, and then boom, right back in it?
Yeah, I was just back to work, and everybody shook hands and went back working that day. It was like nothing happened, you know. I went to school back to school later on, you know, but I just worked for a while when I got home, you know.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so that was the end of it, you know.
Mr. Van Bever, it was an honor to speak with you today. and I would like to thank you for your dedication and service.